And hello and good morning. My goodness, what a day this has been so far. And it's only 9 a.m. on the East Coast. I am David Boles, and this is Boles.tv. It's Boles.television. And wowzer, I can't keep up with everything that's happening. And it's a very interesting conversation we have this day as we discuss what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. It's just a fascinating thing. And all of this sharing the reports you're going to get going on today. Hey, it's Dora coming to us live from YouTube. Now that is very exciting. Dora is very upset about what's happening in Russia. Well, wait till you hear about our update today. It's going to be really, really interesting, and we're going to get to it just in a moment. But it's 50 degrees on the East Coast. 2 days ago, 80 degrees. Yesterday, sort of rained all day. Yesterday was the first day of fall, and today fall is here. It's wintertime. I mean, oh, global warming. Oh, we can't call it global warming. Oh, climate change. Oh, we can't call it that. Dying before we're supposed to. Yeah, that's the ticket. It's just nuts that it's 50 degrees on the East Coast, and it's lovely, lovely weather. As you say, growing up in Nebraska, you call this football weather. There's a chill in the air. And poor Igba, who has to leave. Yes, we're going to talk about Igba. We're going to talk about our friend Alexander. It's going to be a very interesting conversation to share about what happens and why. Ooh. But it's cold. Now you want to open the windows, but the lantern flies are still around. They sort of hide when it's in shadow, but when the building becomes in the sunlight, they seem to come out. So it's going to be a big party for the lantern flies. Dora says, I know I have to close the pool this week. Oh no, terrible. You just opened your pool. It was the one place you could go to stay cool. And now it's just cold. Now, next week is, the weekend's supposed to be a little warmer, next week in the 60s, but I guess it has changed. I hope you have your winter clothes out and ready to go because here we go. No more shorts. Put on your long pants. They're coming for us. I don't know what we're going to do with this weather. It's very bizarre. But I guess they don't, the chill doesn't kill the lantern flies or kill the eggs until it's 14 degrees. That is pretty cold. So the idea that they're living in the facades of these tall buildings, waiting to come out when the sun shines, is the thing that horror movies are made of. And if you don't know what a lanternfly is, good for you. You don't want to know. They're tiny monsters with beautiful red wings that land on your neck and breed like crazy. So following up on our conversation yesterday about our good friend Igba, who went missing for a day. Igba is an artist who lives in Russia. He appears to have a very, very beautiful home. The last couple of weeks, he's been posting a lot of video. He's been doing a lot of painting. All while the war is going on in Ukraine. And I'd been in touch with him. How do you feel? Are you nervous? Oh, no. I have a plan. And he originally left when the war broke out. He moved to Georgia. Not American Georgia, but Georgia, Georgia. Close to Ukraine and Russia. And then no one would hire him in Georgia because he had a Russian passport. So he ran out of money and had to move back to Russia, and he's just been there kind of doing NFTs, trying to make money for his family because his dad was, I guess, fired for going against Putin. And his mother is a very natural artist who helps him a lot. And so he's been selling his NFTs for a year, and he celebrated his 1-year anniversary of selling NFTs. That's how he makes money to survive. And Igba is very, very active on Twitter. And he makes things. He sent this to me. from Russia. He made this, sent me a video. So he's trying to move beyond NFTs and paintings. He's getting into silversmithing. Very interesting stuff. Wonderful guy, young guy. Looks like me, good looking guy. So Igba's very active, likes everything, very responsive, has a lot of NFT friends, especially in Ukraine and Russia. And Igba is very strongly against the war. Doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Very nice, very talented. He is really terrific. I should find his video and show the video he makes of making that sculpture for me. So Igba usually sends me a little something every day, either on our private Discord channel or publicly on Twitter. And I hadn't heard from him for a while. So I went yesterday and we checked out his Twitter feed. And the day that Putin said he was going nuclear in Ukraine and calling up 300,000 reserves, Igba went silent. And this is what he posted on Twitter, which concerned me greatly. No GM. Now, there are people in the world, our friend Dora is one of them, who go on and say GM, good morning. Okay, it's not my thing. I think it goes around in a circle, and some, Discord servers and forums just have a whole section dedicated to GM. You go there, you say GM, everyone says GM, and then it's out of the regular conversation. But Igba's big on the GM. So when, she almost typed GM, but she didn't. 3 smiley faces. I'll say GM. So Igba, on the 21st, right, which is, 2 days ago, said, no GM. Now, that, to me, is a signal. That, to me, was a bat signal from Igba saying there's trouble ahead. And so I responded to him, and where are you? I hope you're okay. I didn't hear from him, which was weird. So then I waited a day, and this was the terrifying note from Igba 19 hours ago with this fantastic photograph. I mean, it's a great photograph. It's a suitcase, beautiful pants, and dress shoes. I guess that's how you run in Russia. You don't have time to put on boots or thick pants. You just get up and go. You bug out. And he says, we are on our way. We are not safe yet. Now that means, all this time I've been very worried about him. And I said, when the 300,000 Putin calling up, I said, I'm worried about you. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And he said, if it comes down to it, my friends and I are leaving. We will not stay. We will not go to prison. We will not fight. We're out. And on the news, you see all of these one-way tickets purchased out of Russia. All these cars trying one way out of Russia. All these young people who do not want to be in Putin's bloody, murderous war. So this was the news. We're on our way. Meaning, we're out. We are not safe yet. I do not know if I will see my relatives and loved ones again. I quickly said goodbye to my parents and sisters. Pain, sadness. I feel danger. I have one suitcase with me, as a reminder that no belongings or objects have any value. 18 hours ago, an hour after that, he posted, hiding from harsh reality, I created my own magical worlds. And that's what he's been doing the last 2-3 weeks. He has been concentrating on his art, putting videos of his paintings. Nothing about the war. He really doesn't talk about it online, in public. Reality won today, but it will never conquer the desire to create. So I saw that, and my friend, Now, this is where it gets interesting. Igba is my Russian friend who hates the war. Alexander on Twitter goes by Kosmich on our Discord server. So usually sends me a little something every day about what they're doing, what they're buying, how the war's going, what he's doing to help. He can leave if he wants to, but he's not leaving because he has a duty to stay, he believes. He can leave because he has a very young child who just started the first day of school. So he has the right to leave as a father, but he's not leaving. And his family's not leaving. 2 months ago, he told me they're leaving. And now he's not leaving. So I contacted Alexander Kosmich on our Discord server. And we had a conversation about Igba. I said when I contacted him, he's missing. I hope he's okay. And before I did that, I'll show you this. Alexander posted this on our Discord server. Mass subpoenas are being handed out. And the good news is that many Russians are now beginning to understand the war is bad and that people are killed in wars. Alexander says a coup is badly needed. Just a replacement of Putin will do little. And a coup will give us time to get our own. And then he sent me these wonderful, wonderful photographs. And he said, what is this? What? It's a backpack of medical supplies, medic supplies, from the Israeli Red Cross. Today I got the Israeli Army Medics backpack. I'm about to get 2 more. I didn't brag much. But such moments are very happy. And although I understand that this is a drop in the ocean, there are thousands of volunteers like me. So he's been called up, Alexander, to fight, to train. He has his papers. I don't think they've pulled him into the war yet. But it's a concern. Well, this looks weird. It's a concern for him trying to figure out which way to go next. And I got to fix this because this is looking very strange and is bothering me. I'm not centered properly. And I'm not. Alt. Yeah, Alt. Is it Alt? I don't know why this is not allowing me to cut this. Very strange. There's nothing like being prepared, right? Who could prepare for this? What's wrong with you? I don't know. What do you think you do? That's a little bit better. Makes me a little fuzzy, though. I guess it's okay for now, right? So, this is where it gets very interesting. In the private conversation. So privately, because this Israeli photographs, which I love, that is in the public section of our Discord server in the Ukraine area, where Alexander Kosmich posts quite a lot of things, which is wonderful. I love the news of it. Whoops. And let me go to my main screen so I make sure I'm not going to reveal something. And then we have private conversations. Trying to figure out how all of this is going to work. And we had a conversation about Igba. And I'm going to share that with you now. This is the behind the scenes conversation with Alexander Kosmich. This is what he sent me yesterday. Good evening to you. I could not write. I was crushed morally. I went to the funeral of a hero who was found a month later and brought to bury him. No words to express the grief of my parents. At the funeral was a woman whose son was also killed looking for the boy. Very difficult day. And now we are working on it. The nights are cold, and the rubes need thermal underwear, warm clothes. You pack and realize it's just not realistic to cover everyone. This weekend we are going to Kherson. I'm very tired. It really hurts that there are people who make money on the war. And he continues, there is only more work to be done now. The Russians have announced a mobilization and will be trying to fill people up. Meaning the 300,000 people who've been called in to either kill Ukrainians or die fighting them. So I responded to him. I told him about my lack of contact and conversation with Igba, and I said, I think he's in trouble. I don't know really what to do. And Alexander said, I hope he can leave Russia. I will try to help him. I know people in Kazakhstan. I wrote to him, and I'm ready to help him if he needs it. I have many friends who can help him. They will find a place to live and help until they get settled. So right there, that is the most amazing thing so far in my conversation. With Alexander, that he is willing to help Igba find safety. I didn't even know where Kazakhstan was. So this is Kazakhstan. This is what it looks like. I don't know where Igba is. I don't know what's going on. It's a Central Asian country. Beautiful photos. Here it is on the map. Way over here. This is Kazakhstan. This is Moscow. And this is Ukraine. So you can see there's quite a big difference of where to go. When Igba got out originally, he was here in Georgia. Alexander is here. Alexander thinks that Igba should go here. So Alexander continues, I gave Igba my phone number. I can get him help in Kazakhstan. The main thing is to get him out of Russia. He is a good man. I will be glad if I can help him. I'm waiting to hear from him. I really hope it works out. So then, I heard from Igba, and he sent me a note. And this is his update, which is just stunning, from this morning at 5 in the morning. Thank you for your support. I could not answer right away. I did not always have internet. We have been running since the 21st. We managed to pack a few suitcases. I do not know what will happen next. You wrote correctly that art will keep me sane. That's the only thing. The reality is horrible. My parents said goodbye to me as if for the last time. A lot of people I know have been drafted. 10 years in prison if you don't go to war, if you refuse to be drafted. People are confused. If they could have drafted me, I would have gone to prison. A friend of mine got drafted. His mother is Ukrainian. Now he doesn't know what to do. If he did not receive a summons legally, it is not considered being served to be drafted. They would not let him through at the border. Leave. So now he's facing 10 years in prison. It's surreal how he will fight with his relatives on his mother's side, just like the United States Civil War. brother against brother, north against south. They say there is a lot of money in Putin's budget, and he is interested in a protracted war. This is how he makes money on people's blood. So I replied, he has not yet replied back. He's running, so I understand why we haven't heard from him. And Putin thinks he can starve Europe this winter by cutting off their energy supply. And if he thinks he can do that and win against a Europe that still remembers World War II, there are people still alive who remember what it was like. They are only going to get more resolved to go against him and to fight him. Continuing my conversation with Kosmich, I told him, hey, I heard from Igba. I told him you were looking for him, you offered your phone number. And he said, Alexander said, he got in touch, and if he needs me, I'll help him. I believe that good always comes back. This is a huge chance for the Russians to overthrow the tyrant. I hope they have the spirit to do it. Otherwise, there will be many more deaths. My friend has a feeling that I will not live to see victory. But I can't stop. Soldiers are writing to me asking for help, and you know you have to go and help them. Tomorrow we will not be far from the city of Kherson. That's on the news a lot. Warm clothes and ammunition are waiting there. I will be glad to help if people learn how not. I will be glad if people learn how not the government, but the ordinary people of Ukraine do everything for the victory. I believe that someday the NFT will be interesting. He's been collecting and selling NFTs to support the war, to document what's going on in Ukraine, and the story of the war will be preserved from the inside. And that's the most interesting thing about this whole thing is I met Igba and Alexander Kosmich through NFTs. I saw their art. I thought it was interesting. I bought it. That's how you start a communication. And now we have this wonderful circle between the East Coast of the United States. Maybe it's more a triangle. And Igba in Russia or wherever. And Alexander in Ukraine. And we make our connections every day. And he continues. He's brought this up before. War profiteering. It must be a very big thing there because it's a concern for him. Many people make money, steal and make money from the war. But there are thousands of people who fight, not for money, but for freedom. Not all military personnel have extra pay. There are places where there are no active combat operations, although people are shooting and dying. Hey, Doris says, I'm praying for everyone's safety. Yes, war is good business. And Eisenhower warned us, the military-industrial complex. He was against it. He was a general. He was a president. He won World War II. And he said, look out for the money. Alexander continues, not all military personnel have extra pay. There are places where there are no active combat operations. Although people are shooting and dying, it is very hard for them. There are thousands of volunteers like us who beg and collect a penny to help at the front lines. That is our strength. You cannot defeat such people, only to destroy them. Today I learned about the deaths of 8 more guys we were helping, and there is no fear, only emptiness and pain. And Russians are good people. Our sponsor is also from Russia. This is the person who buys them cars and buys them night vision goggles and rifles and guns and food. Not Igba, it's somebody else. Very rich person inside of Russia, feeding the Ukraine army. Now that's how you win a war. Thank you. Tomorrow night we leave. I will try to make a report. And I said, thank you. I want your reports. And then he says, we can't quite see it here. My people are like bees. We work hard, build a house, raise children. But if the hive is attacked, we, like the bees, are ready to die. I will run. Have a good day. Love your words, my friend. Thank you for these important and engaging reports from the field. Be well, be safe. Clear skies above you. And that is our update. That's what we've been doing since 5 in the morning. Is trying to get updates on what's going on with Igba and Alexander and this madman named Putin. And what I said, excuse me, to Igba is, you are doing the right thing. I said this on Twitter. You are doing the right thing to run from a murderer. You don't join a murderer and think you're going to get away. That's not how they work. And now it's that time of day for our very first break, returning in a moment. And we are back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv, Boles.television. Coming to you live and in person Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. on the East Coast of these United States. Well, it's been an interesting morning so far. And I forgot to give you the update that our friend Igba posted. This is from today. First, he says, thank you for your support to everybody. We made it to safety. I will not write negative tweets about my worries or difficulties. I will remain steadfast and continue to create. Have a good day, everyone. The power is within everyone. That's 4 hours ago. And that's really quite wonderful. So he's not going to talk about the war. He doesn't talk about Putin in public. Doesn't want trouble. He has family and friends there. And then he says, this has been his big push in the last couple of weeks, NFT and physical canvases will not be available. Only the NFT. I will edit this information later. So I guess on OpenSea, he's trying to get people to buy his stuff. And he's, offering the painting as well as the NFT, which is neat. It's very cool. And there was a time when he sent me this that he was able to get stuff out of Russia through Turkey. It's supposed to take 7 days to get here. It took 17 days to get here. But I'm shocked that he was able to do it. And he did it. But now I guess he can't do it. So our friend is okay. Igba for now is safe. I have no idea where he is. He hasn't told me. I haven't asked. And I understand why, because he doesn't want people to know maybe where he is in case the Russians come and get him. But it was only a matter of time before this spun around and bit him like a snake, like a serpent. And it did bite him. And I just hope he'll be all right. At least we all know that he has resources on his side, and now we know he has a very good resource inside Ukraine with Alexander, who is very well positioned and well connected and knows the lay of the land. It's a tough position. And here we sit, 50 degrees, sunny skies, Jersey City, New York City, eating our lunch, watching the news, and chatting about it. And do we understand freedom? Do we understand what all of that means? We're not running. We didn't pack a suitcase. We don't drive to the front to bring our friends, our soldiers, warm clothes. We just watch television and enjoy Netflix. Hard to know what to do. And you can't help but think the world is sort of on fire. With the protests going on in Iran, the madman in Russia, Biden saying he will protect Taiwan, which is fantastic, and the Chinese are not happy. But the Chinese appear to be putting a little bit of distance between themselves and Russia, which is a good thing for the safety of the entire world. So sometimes you don't even know what to talk about or what you're going to talk about on your show until you sit down and you turn on the old microphone and start yapping a bit. And we're doing a lot of yapping. So here's a very interesting article that I discovered that is about the science of designing the perfect cue. A cue, Q-U-E-U-E, is a wonderful word, and it just means a line. And this is specifically about how science and technology helped people stand in line for 24 hours to pay their respects to Queen Elizabeth. And I don't know if you happened to see the news coverage of David Beckham paying his final respects to his queen, which was wonderful, a great moment. In disguise, wearing a hat. Family wasn't there. Is it Posh that he's married to? Posh Spice? Sexy Spice, Sporty Spice? I don't know. One of the Spice people. And his kids. They weren't there. It was just David by himself. And the commentators were going on and on about, oh my goodness, look, it's David Beckham. Yes, that David Beckham. Standing in line, in queue for 16 hours to see his queen. Now, the second that was reported, you think immediately, there's no way. There's no way someone like David Beckham is going to stand in line himself for 16 hours. First of all, he's super rich. Second of all, he's too well known. Third of all, it's dangerous. He would be bothered. People would know who he is. His place in line may have been wending its way through the queue for 16 hours. But I guarantee you David Beckham's body was not in queue for 16 hours. Not possible. Maybe 16 minutes right at the end. You know they have a queue for VIPs. They have a queue for the handicapped. They have a queue for everybody else. And this article explains really how they handled someone like David Beckham. Hey, Dora says, I saw him staying online. I was shocked too. Yes, there were lots of photographs of him online. I believe it's a magic trick. All for PR, to look good. I don't know why he felt he had to do it, but he did it. But said, oh no, he stood there. I don't believe it. So this is how you design a perfect queue for people like David Beckham, even though you wouldn't call it that. The perfect queue is one that doesn't take longer than 10 minutes. And this is a very long, very intricate, beautifully researched and written article, which I will not be able to do justice to. I will post this link on our Discord server in our special Boles.tv section in the text channel. Links from the live stream. At its peak, the queue snaked 5 miles across the Capitol with an estimated 14-hour wait. This is the Queen's queue that they're talking about. When it reached capacity and closed on Friday, people defied government advice and formed a separate queue for the Queen. 750,000 people are expected to see the Queen over the course of her lying in state. At any one time, 30 to 40,000 people could be standing in line. That's a lot of people. And you're telling me David Beckham's standing with them? It's not possible. People like David Beckham don't mingle with 30,000 people. It's not possible. Designing the perfect queue involves looking at two variables. How quickly people join the end of the line, the arrival rate, and how quickly they get through it, the service rate. The arrival rate is dictated by the capacity of the London Underground and the mainline rail network. It's fabulously intricate, detailed. The service rate is trickier to calculate because it depends on how quickly people pass by the Queen's coffin. And I thought it was very interesting. I loved it that they called the Queen's coffin. They called it the Queen's coffin. In America, I don't think we say coffin because that has to do with vampires. In America, we say casket. I love that they said coffin. I think coffin is the right word. I want a coffin, not a casket. Different people chose to mark their respect in different ways, which can take different lengths of time. They go on to talk about the math, the formula, the numbers. One of the concerns that has always been foremost is that if people are standing for 20 hours, not David Beckham, then they may push themselves beyond their limits, right? Get sick and hurt themselves. While the queue can't, by definition, be described as perfect, the 14-hour wait times are not as bad as you think. The government's queue tracking live stream, which gave the estimated physical and temporal length of the line, provided transparency about how long people could be expected to wait, which is very good. Give them as much information as possible. The queue, the line, is a challenge for infrastructure. With more than 1,000 people, including 779 stewards and 100 volunteer marshals, making sure no one cuts in line or bothers David Beckham. Along the queue route, 500 portable toilets have been installed. Here we go. While a wristband system was in operation, allowing people, David Beckham, to leave the line, David Beckham, to get food and drink, or to sit out for a while, and not lose their place. So that's how you do it. Oh, do you mind? Hi, I'm David Beckham. Do you mind holding my place? I'll be back in 16 hours. And then, probably more likely, a separate, shorter queue for those with disabilities, or the wildly famous, I bet you, has stewards checking anyone who is flagging in the main line, David Beckham, then siphoning them off to the shorter line. For the accessible queue, the handicap queue, the UK government borrowed a model from theme parks, many of which offer timed return slots and priority access for paying companies. Try doing that in here, Doris says. Many of which offer timed return slots and priority access for paying customers, David Beckham, with a limited number of time slots available each day. Very smart for the Queen's queue, the Queen's coffin queue. They've also borrowed another element from the likes of Disney. Entertainment, David Beckham. BFI South Bank, a cinema run by the British Film Institute, located on the last mile of the line before it arrives at the Palace of Westminster, is showing active footage of the Queen on giant screens outside the building. So that's wonderful too, right? You stand in line, you have a queue, you have a little wristband. Hey, I'm David Beckham. I'll be back. I'm going to go use the bathroom for 3-4 hours. I'll come back. I'll get thirsty. I'll go drink some water for 3-4 hours. I'll be back. But I'm in line. I have my wristband. I'm in position. I may be in the VIP line, but I'm in line. And I'll make sure I get on television so everyone sees me paying my final respects to my Queen. And now it's time for our next break. Returning in a moment. Hey, we're back from break. Oh, so many things popping up. This, that, hey. Okay, here we are. This is Boles.tv, BOLES.television, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And everything that's said in our chat is also transcribed, meaning live chat, put in our live chat area on our Boles TV channel on Discord. Discord, what? You say? Hey, here you go. Here's the link, just in case you want to go join, look around, see some updates from Alexander Kosmich about the war in Ukraine. Always posts interesting things, sometimes terrible, awful, sad things. And finding dead bodies covered in mud with their hands tied behind their back. Oh, the war crimes. This is going to be nasty. Will Putin pay? No. But we hope he will. So the weather here is really incredible. I spent most of my time this morning opening the windows, and now I'm closing the windows because it's getting a little cold and a little breezy in here. It's still 50 degrees where we are, and the wind is currently at 15 miles per hour. Now, we live on a hill, so the wind whips through the tall buildings on the ground level and even up in sky level where we live. And I have discovered through 4 or 5 years of living here, over 5 years, that anything above 9 miles per hour, for me, is a vicious wind. It's a hot wind in the summer and a viciously cold wind that flays you in the winter. And it's 15. And so a 15-mile-an-hour wind whipping through a very tinily opened window is very cold, very fast, and it whistles. So I spent time on the break closing the windows so we get some of the nice weather, but not the whistling and the viciousness, because 15 is too much. And I know it sounds ridiculous that the wind is too windy, but I live in Chicago because I guess that's the windy city, right? But the difference between 9 miles per hour and 15 miles per hour is very astonishing. You wouldn't think it would be that big a deal, but it sort of is. So what else is in the news? Oh my, embryo test. Now, we've talked about versions of this before. Eugenics, designer babies, baby shopping. But this is even more interesting because this is not like, once the baby has been conceived and you're doing, amnio tests to see if the baby's healthy. This is more along the lines of, okay, this is IVF, in vitro fertilization. So before we even start this process, let's just take a look at what's going on, what sort of individual this baby will become if we, as parents and doctors, decide to move forward with this type of pregnancy. Very eugenics-centered. And the thinking goes, why have a disabled child when you could create the perfect child? I want this sort of smile. I want this sort of genetic resemblance. I want the same color eyes as I have. And that sounds all science fiction-y and stuff, but that's where we are. She has her mother's eyes, begins the advertisement. But will she also inherit her breast cancer diagnosis? The smooth voice in the video is promoting the services of genomic prediction, a U.S. company that says it can help prospective parents to answer this question by testing genetics of embryos during fertility treatment. Now, I don't know what the religious right is going to do about this or what they think about it. It's going to be a very interesting thing. And as I've told this story before, it's, one day, many years ago, I was at the dentist's office, and there was the dentist who owned this big practice. Oh, Dora's going. Have a great weekend. See you, Dora. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. And he had this big practice in a mall. Now, a dentist's office in a mall? It's a wonderful idea. That's where the people are. Bye, Dora. I'll say good morning again just because I'm that kind of person. An annoying kind of person. I guess it should be goodbye instead of good morning. Oh well. It's always good morning here in America. That's what Ronald Reagan said, right? And having a dentist's office in a mall is really a fascination because a lot of people are there. It's really, if you think about it, genius. A lot of people there. People are eating. People are walking by. They think, oh, look, there's a dentist's office. Maybe I could get my tooth filled. Or I just cracked a tooth on a hard roll at the restaurant. Maybe they can go and help me. And in the early days, I visited that dental office. It was wonderful, convenient. You're done. You go shopping, you go home. Now people say it's kind of been run down. It's like they said, if you enjoy going to the DMV, you'll enjoy going to this dental office. I guess their clientele has changed dramatically. And it was okay, go get something filled, get a cleaning, and it was okay. And I remember sitting there and overhearing this dentist, who I guess owned the place, had a big cowboy hat, a big corduroy jacket, cowboy boots. And he was working on some woman's tooth, and she was pregnant, I think, so they were being extra cautious. And he was being very loud, so the entire practice could hear him. And he starts talking about his wife's pregnancy. And now they've had difficulty in the past, and he told her, we're not doing any testing on this baby. If this baby is brain damaged and brain dead, it's our baby. We're going to bring it home, and we're going to raise that baby. And, some people want to say, well, keep that to yourself. We don't really care. Why are you broadcasting that in a dentist's office? Nobody wants to hear that while they're getting a tooth pulled. And then I think of some other people we know who had genetic testing and found out that their children were going to be disabled. And, we're going to do the heroic, dramatic thing and bring this child into the world. And they do, and they take care of it, and it's a special needs child, and as long as the parents are alive, everything's good. But then the parents die, and then what do? I had one student who had a very severely disabled sister. And she was a wonderful student, very bright, and her parents told her, in our culture, when we die, your sister belongs to you, and you will take care of her for the rest of her life. You will not institutionalize her. She is your responsibility. And so subsequently, she believed that strongly, and in every romantic relationship she had moving forward, that was always on the table. If it was, semi-serious. If you want to date me, this is what's going on with my sister. If we become more serious and get married or have children, my sister is living with us. That's a big burden to put on a person. So these parents have these children that they know will be severely disabled. They bring them into the world anyway because they believe in life. And then the parents die, and then this disabled child, who really is not functioning in the world, either becomes a ward of the state or becomes someone else's responsibility in the family. And I can tell you, no one is going to care about that disabled child, who is probably an adult, 40, 50 years old, as much as the parents who decided to bring that disabled child into the world. Siblings don't want to be bothered with it. Extended family doesn't want to be bothered with it. You can leave money as the parents to take care of that disabled child, but that does not mean that the money will go where you think it will go. Oftentimes it's stolen, it's redirected, it is used to pay for services that are never rendered. It's a difficult situation. And we all depend on each other, but where is the line drawn? Where your severely disabled sibling who can do nothing for themselves is now your responsibility. And sure, maybe there's a little trust fund money, but it's not going to be enough to take care of that person for the rest of your life and theirs. Where do you draw the line? Well, these people with these embryo tests think that they have found where to draw the line, and they're going to draw it rather brightly. This company in North Brunswick, New Jersey, offers tests based on decades of research into polygenic risk scores, PRS, which calculates someone's likelihood of getting a disease on the basis of the genetic contributions of hundreds, thousands, or even millions of single DNA letter changes in the genome. Complicated stuff. I'll put this link in our live chat. Pre-implantation genetic testing, PGT, for rare genetic disorders and chromosomal abnormalities has become common practice in the $14 billion IVF industry. In the United States, people undergoing IVF can request that their clinicians order PGT-P, which promises screenings for various conditions, including some cancers, heart disorders, diabetes, and schizophrenia. Do you want a schizophrenic child? Very interesting. If you found out your embryo had a tendency to be schizophrenic, is that something you want to decide to go ahead and bring into the world? Many are troubled by the possibilities that this testing presents. Bioethicists have long been wary of attempting to select disease and disability out of the human gene pool, and the high cost of testing could further entrench health inequities. This is a human embryo at 3 days old. A hole has been intentionally made in the protective outer layer to access the cells inside, and they have been colored for genetic screening. Very interesting, right? This is what makes up a person. Pretty wild. For example, a 2018 study trained a model to detect SNPs for coronary artery disease using the genomic data of almost 61,000 people with the condition and around 123,000 people without it. So what do? You find out, schizophrenia, nobody wants that. Okay, get rid of that. Diabetes, nobody wants that. Well, the heart might not be strong. We could maybe find you a stronger heart. Okay, get rid of that one too. Where does this stop? What is the perfect person? The person who will live to be 200 years old? Genetically strong? But maybe schizophrenic? Or someone who is perfectly cogent and able and dies at age 2? Genomic prediction already offers screening for schizophrenia 4 heart conditions, 5 cancers, and type 1 and 2 diabetes. IVF clinics try to generate multiple embryos to increase the chance of successful pregnancy. And genomic prediction calculates an overall health score for each embryo. So, you're not born yet, you're just an embryo, but we're going to give you a score. 1 out of 10, 2 out of 5. Are you worth becoming an adult or not? Are you worth the birth or not? In its simulations, the company says that its tests can reduce the risk of choosing an embryo that later develops type 1 diabetes by 72%. But that figure assumes that the simulated couple is selecting between 5 viable embryos, is of European ancestry, and has a family history of the disease. For most people who don't have a genetic predisposition to type 1 diabetes, the chances that their child will develop the condition are exceedingly rare. But sometimes that sort of prediction and guarantee is not enough for some people. They want a guarantee. I want to make sure my kid's not going to be sick. Comparing the highest scoring individual in each group with the rest of the data set, they found that their test would have reduced the risk of choosing an embryo with a high chance of developing almost any of the 20 diseases that they screened for, and would have improved life expectancy between a day and a month for most conditions tested. So, we can manipulate you a little bit. We might be able to give you an extra day of life or an extra month of life. Some specialists worry that thinking of embryos in terms of their health scores could increase the stigma around some conditions, especially those affecting mental health. For now, genomic prediction offers only one mental health-related test for schizophrenia. But the company's co-founder has hinted he'd like to see tests for intelligence. Some people with a mental health disorder, their diagnosis forms a much more crucial part of their identity than for people with cancer or heart disease. That means selecting against embryos with a risk of mental health conditions could add further stigma. This is taking us a step closer where people are narrowing their version of what is acceptable in a child. The United States, PGT, as with most other direct-to-consumer genetic tests, is not subject to close scrutiny and evaluation by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Such tests are much more strictly regulated in the UK, where the Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority say they can be used to avoid serious inherited illnesses. But where do they draw the line? That is the question of the 20th century. And it's interesting that the terrific American playwright in the 1920s, Eugene O'Neill, said the topic of many of his plays was the problem of the 20th century. The 20th century is the failure of science and technology to replace the death of the old God. And here you go. God works in mysterious ways. Science says, hold my beer. We can figure things out. We know where this is going to go before it goes. Why have a schizophrenic child if you don't have to? Interesting questions. But where's the morality in that sort of decision? And maybe you wouldn't have a, let's say, low intelligence child? You would prefer to have a high intelligence child? Is there a difference? Is there a distinction? Should it be made? Is it dangerous to assume that everyone wants the perfect child? Are there some people who want to have a child who is dissimilar? Are there factions in the world that would want to create the perfect criminal mind? A mind that doesn't think like regular people, a mind of a murderer. Can you imagine these gene pools, these embryonic testing pads? Where you have the perfect child for mainstream America, the rich people, right? Smart, beautiful, lovely, athletic. Then you have a division, perhaps in the Department of Defense. Let's create in the embryo the perfect soldier. No morality, no compunction against killing, follows orders, maybe slightly dumber so they don't question the meaning of life. What about underground embryos? The syndicate, the crime family, the mafia dons. Let's create a soldier there that we like. Strong, tough, immoral, not schizophrenic. We need to know exactly how they're going to behave. Let's just breed these certain class of people so they can go into the world and do our bidding. And they will obey, and they will not say anything against us. And the whole world was built on slavery. So if you could build a whole family of obedient slaves, not based on skin color anymore, but just based on biogenetic programming, maybe you'd make them all blind. So you would just teach them how to move one rock to another place, how to stack one bit of wood upon another. They don't need to see what they're doing. They can just feel it with their hands. Free methodology, wood stacking, rock rolling people. Sisyphus in an embryo. Sure, they're being punished. Punished for a previous life, punished for something else they did. The gods are after them. Well, we don't want the perfect embryo. We just want an embryo that serves our purpose. And there are some who say, well, that's kind of what's going on with the indoctrination of children. Some say into religion. You put them into a certain belief system from early on. They don't question authority. They don't question where they're going. They don't question how they got there. Just keep your head down, believe, pray. We'll send you to a religious school where you will be taught religion for 8 hours a day, and then 1 hour a day you'll maybe learn some math, but you won't know how to read or write because your teachers who are teaching you don't know how to read or write, but they do know the religious text inside and out. And that's really the most important thing. So do we already have a form of embryonic selection in the afterbirth, in the growing up of a child, formed by society and culture and religion and belief that this is the way something should be? And we have power in numbers. There are billions of us against millions of you. And we're going to win because no one questions our authority. And that is the danger we face as a society right now. And in 20, 30, 50 years, it's going to be even more dangerous to try to live an independent, moral, free life where someone or something is not trying to control you. And now it's time for our final break of the day. Returning in a moment. And hey, we're back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv, BOLES.television. Oh, what a wonderful day. Talked about embryos, talked about the war in Ukraine, Russian friends escaping from the clutches of Vladimir Putin, Ukrainians offering to help them escape, which is wonderful. So the weather is just fascinating for me. I am a weather nut, and what is going on with the forecast? AccuWeather Premium is my go-to weather app. They give you a 120-minute forecast on when it's going to rain, if it's not going to rain. I find it tremendously helpful. They give you an hourly forecast so you can sort of predict where you're going to be during the days. Yesterday was very rainy and very ugly. Now it's just cold everywhere. And it gives you a rundown, hourly, of what's to be expected. So today, look at this. It was 80 degrees 2 days ago. 55, 65, overnight, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, into Saturday, 50s. And so what is the daily attribution? Friday is going to be sunny at 64. Saturday, 70, 74. Rain on Sunday. Okay, East Coast. Mondays, 70. Tuesday, 71. Wednesday, 67. That's looking a little cooler. Then we're in the 60s. 70s. It's exciting stuff, if you know where to look. So another wonderful story that I find just fascinating, based on mathematical biology, is how fireflies signal each other. What does it mean? How do they do it? It's quite a fascination. Field research suggests a new explanation for the synchronized flashing of fireflies and confirms that a novel form of chimeric synchrony occurs naturally. Now that is a very interesting sentence. Some fireflies have a mystifying gift for flashing their abdomens in sync, meaning they all flash at the same time. Usually, if you play with fireflies, this is on, this is on, this is on, this is on. They're not flashing at the same time. New observations are overturning long-accepted explanations for how the synchronization occurs, at least for some species. Physicists, I did not know this, revere fireflies for reasons that might seem every bit as mystical. Of the roughly 2,200 species scattered around the world, a handful have documented ability to flash in synchrony. In Malaysia and Thailand, firefly-studded mangrove trees can blink on beat, as if strung up with Christmas lights. Every summer in Appalachia, waves of eerie concordance ripple across fields and human forests. The firefly's light shows and lures mates and crowds of human sightseers, but they've also developed a spark some of the most fundamental techniques to explain synchronization, the alchemy by which elaborate coordination emerges from even very simple individual parts. And this is a very interesting long article. I will post the link in our live chat area on Discord. Nearly every model for firefly synchrony, ever concocted for example, assumes that each firefly maintains its own internal metronome. However, new research shows that in at least one species, individual fireflies have no intrinsic rhythm. And it posited that a collective beat emerges only from the spooky synergy of many lightning bugs gathered together. Reports of fireflies flaring in unison in Southeast Asia filtered back to Western scientific discourse for centuries. Thousands of fireflies called kilip in Malaysia, their name is sort of a visual onomatopoeia for their twinking, can settle on riverside trees. Their light blazes and is extinguished by a common sympathy. A British diplomat wrote in 1857, "At one moment, every leaf and branch appears decorated with diamond-like fire." Amazing stuff. So, new researchers designed a system of two GoPro cameras, placed a few feet apart, and because the cameras take 360-degree video, they could capture the dynamics of a firefly swarm from within, not just from the side. Instead of counting flashes by hand, they devised processing algorithms that could triangulate on firefly flashes caught by both cameras, and then record not just when each blink happened, but where it occurred in a three-dimensional space. So when these cameras began capturing the three-dimensional data, new patterns were revealed. One was the confirmation of something that other firefly naturalists had all reported. A burst of flashes would often start in one place and then cascade through the forest at about half a meter per second. The contagious ripples suggested that the coupling of fireflies was neither global, with the entire swarm connected, nor purely local, with each firefly carrying only about close neighbors. Instead, fireflies seemed to pay attention to other fireflies at a mix of distant scales. That could be because the fireflies could only see flashes that occur within an unbroken sight line. In the forest, vegetation, trees, plants get in the way of line of sight. This is a model for how they determine synchronicity. Picture a whole field of fireflies in the quiet darkness immediately following a burst. Each one picks a random wait time longer than the charging period. Whoever flashes first, though, inspires all the others to jump in immediately when they are able. So these flashes tend to be more wave-like, perhaps indiscernibly wave-like, than the human eye can discern on its own. Fireflies have been doing computer science well before we even existed. Learning how they synchronize could lead to a better grasp of self-organizing behaviors in other living things too. And now, my friend, it's that time of the day. Hey, it's Friday. What does that mean? Oh, yes. Here we go. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Hey, it's Bobby Fischer chess time. Oh, no. Who said why? I know. Here I am. Here we go. Well, I'll also start with Chessable. We're still in our revealed check state. And our double check state. We are making our way through this chapter, one puzzle at a time. Sometimes it's going well, sometimes it's not going so well. Today, we hope to end the week on a good note. So, here we go. Puzzle begins. Whoop. White to play. Here's the object of our desire. Here are my main methods. My queen, my knight, my other knight. This puzzle really seems to love knights. So, what does one do? Where do you go? What are the fifths of stupor that we will find ourselves. I'm running out of time. These puzzles tend to like a queen sacrifice. So I'm thinking this, which puts the king in check. The king could take, the knight could take. It looks very messy to me. I'm not really thrilled with it. I would prefer to use the knight to go there, but then the king is not put in check, and that's what this puzzle does. I will try it. Not the right move. So the puzzle shows me the right move. They want the queen to move this way, not that away. Okay, now I have to make the move. They force me to take the bishop, and now the king takes my queen. So I'm sacrificing my queen for a bishop. But I have 2 more moves to make. Yeah. To solve the puzzle. So here's this knight. That knight's going to go here. Puts the king in check there. Okay, now there's a threat that these pawns could take this knight. But it's a revealed check with this bishop honking in, as they say in chess, on the king. So the knight cannot be touched. So that is clearly the move that I will make before the timer runs out. Okay, so that was the right move. Oh boy, now what do we do? Now I see the puzzle. Okay, I get it now. So now, this same knight that cannot be touched but is in danger by these 2 pawns will move here, putting the king in check. The king can only move here. King can only move here. Nothing can touch the knight. The king can't move either place because of the laser-like wooden shield of the black bishop. I will win. Thank you. 3 moves, 1 variation. 66%. Terrible. I'm doing another puzzle. We have to end on a high note. Here's the object of my desire. These are the tools of my checking. Then presuming this is another 3 move. Yeah. So running out of time, of course. So I want to keep this blockade in place. So clearly, again, this is going to be a queen move. Do I want to go here? King takes. Yeah, that's the move. Yeah. And then this knight will move here, putting the king in check. King in check this way. Can't take it this way. Then the king will move here, and then, then I move my knight here. Okay, I got the puzzle. Whew, we are going to end on a high note. Finally! Oh, it's been a long time. And I can move this knight here without fear of being taken here or here because the king is in a revealed check. So that's why this is the move to make. Right? Yes. Now, this rook moves here. King is in check. King can't take. Knight protects. King can't move there. Still in check. Nothing can take the rook. We win the game. We win the weekend. Yes, life can be good, even when it's not. And my time is running out, so I will make the move and win the puzzle. Yay! 3 new moves, 1 variation, 100 percentages. Thank you very much. This I appreciate, and this I presume. Our call is red. Hey, it's that time again. The chess.com puzzle of the day. Now, these are much harder. As we get deeper into the week, the puzzles become more complex. I'm going to try to fix this puzzle. The title of this puzzle is If You Pin It, Can You Win It? So a pin in chess means a piece can't move, because if that piece moves, the king will be in check. That's interesting. So, how do we pin? This has no time limit. I can take 5 hours to do this puzzle. I'm hoping it won't take that long, but you never know. There's the object of my desire. My tools are my rook, and clearly my 2 knights. Maybe this bishop, probably not. So the first temptation is just to go here for the king in check, because puzzles like this like that. They like putting the king in check. But the king can go a lot of places. Bishop can block. Knight can block, not really a pin. So how do I pin? Go here, not really a pin. Here, not a pin. Here, not a pin, not a pin. This is not looking good for pinning. I'm going to make the rook move, just because I want to do something. Not the right move. Try again. If I get 3 of those in a row, then I get a hint. Okay, so it's not that move. Oh boy. Trying to stay within the title of the puzzle, a pin. So if I go here, that pins the knight, because the knight can't move or the king is in check, and nothing can take my bishop. I'll try it. That is the right move. Ha! Doesn't make any sense, really. If I didn't have the hint, the title, I would not have done that. Okay, so pin it to win it. Okay, now how do I win it? Could go here. Then the pawn would just take. I could go here. And the king in check. But then that would just take. Yake. Oh, this is getting messy. And then this goes here. This is getting very messy. It's a Friday puzzle, that's why. It's become much more difficult in your old dotage to try to figure out the meaning of these puzzles. Oh my, it's all a big mess. I've created a big mess. All right, think, young lads. I'm going to try this. Nope. Try this. Oh! First instinct didn't go with it. Try to get too fancy. Try to fool myself. Yeah. Ridiculous. Foolish, maybe. Go here. Put pressure on the bishop. Not really that interesting. Hmm. I'm going to go here. Yeah. Because this, again, is the pin. Can't take that knight, but this knight can take that knight. Because this knight takes that knight and it reveals the pin. So I'm pinning the knight. So, okay, now here we go. So this bishop moves here to put pressure on this bishop. Okay. Two can play the pin game, right? Ow. Yeah. I think the move is this bishop takes the knight, puts the king in check, protected by the knight. Unless I'm not seeing something. And that is the puzzle. I have won the day. Temporarily. 2 days in a row. Oh, I missed Wednesday. Well, I did well. Better than I thought I would do. I messed up the very first move, but then I saw what I had to do and then I fixed it. Or so they say. So it's been a terrific week. Wonderful shows. Thank you so much for being here. Jana Marie is here on Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m., in sign language and type text. She's going to have a wonderful time chatting with you, just about fun things. You can ask her questions about deaf culture, disability, whatever you like. She's here to answer your questions. Or just to hang out and chat. Talk about nothing really that important. You can email me questions, comments, david@boles.tv. On Twitch, we're at David Boles. Super follows to follow. On Facebook, it's BOLES, fb.com/BOLES. On Instagram, we're Boles Books. And on Discord, hey, if you want to hang out, have some fun, come and find us. Say hi. We're here to help you. So I hope you have a wonderful day, a great nap, a nice rest. And when ye shall awaken, may your soul be filled with joy, belonging, and peaceful skies. I'll see you again soon.